Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good of marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious. Everybody, welcome one and all. I'm Robert Gatewood. I am a business developer by trade. What that means is I help companies get into business. And if you're already in business, we want to make that business successful because anybody can start a business. That's what I discovered over these many years. You can start a business at the drop of a hat, but the key is to make that business successful. And you don't want to keep jumping out here with businesses that don't work because that causes damage. It causes damage to your reputation. It might hurt potential clients. So you want to do it the right way. And that's what we do. We're not guessing over here. We're doing this. This has been tried and true. I've been doing this over 30 years as a business developer through my company, Gatewood Marketing and Web. And you can find that on the internet at gatewoodmarketing.com. I also teach this. I teach this course, several courses over at Prince George's Community College, where I'm an adjunct professor. Marketing, networking, social media. I'm also contracted through the Employed Prince George's over at National Harbor. We teach courses over there on marketing and business development. I've written a couple of books, and I also have consulted with the Small Business Administration, people in the government contracting and 8A program. So, like the young folks say, I have a few receipts, but I want you to join this conversation and make sure the people that need this information get it. So go to marketingpulpit.com. You can find the show, and we're glad to be broadcasting from Radio 1 95.9 FM in the Washington, D.C. area. And you can also go to the homepage of Marketing Pulpit, and you can find the show simulcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we're glad to be able to bring this information to you. If you haven't already, go to marketingpulpit.com and go to mpi.bz and get your name in that business directory. It is on fire. That's one of the hottest things. I would say one of my greatest accomplishments have been putting that directory together and giving people a chance to put their voice out there, to get their information out in front of a very qualified audience. People are constantly looking for services. And by the way, if you know a carpenter or home improvement company in the Washington, D.C. area, have them to contact me. I want to get them in that directory. I can't tell you how many times in the last couple of weeks people have been asking me, can I get a carpenter? Can I get a carpenter? Can I get a carpenter? So if you know a carpenter, have them to contact me. Tell them just go to mpi.bz and get your name in the directory so I can start sending them business. Don't be complaining out here about you can't get business. I'm telling you folks, I'm on a mission. My raison d'etre, my reasons for being is to create and help businesses grow. And that business directory is one of the tools that we have been using, and it's been quite remarkable, the people that have put their name in the directory. And so I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I want to say thank you for tuning in, Brother Jonathan, fellow Phi Beta Sigma. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Glad to be tuning in all over the world, and people are tuning in and making their comments. So if you're going to get your comment read out or talk about your business or just get a plain old shout out, just put your name in the feed. You can do that on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube, and we'll be glad to give you a shout out, and also on LinkedIn. Later in the show, we're going to talk about, is your business Shark Tank ready? I don't know if you've watched Shark Tank. If you haven't, it might be something you might want to put on your to-do list. And what happens, you have these VCs or venture capitalists who are interviewing and quizzing companies for venture capital money. And they have some pretty stringent guidelines, but every business is not for venture capitalists. It's not to be scaled. We're going to talk about that today because you may have to make some decisions now on what you plan to do with that business. You plan to live on it, or do you plan to scale it and sell it? But there are certain criteria and there are certain things you need to know about that business now while you're growing it that can help determine which path you need to take. And some very important decisions you need to make about funding, personnel, location, the regular P's of marketing, the industry life cycles, and so forth. So you want to tune into that in the second half of the show. Let's see, we have some new names in the directory. If you're thinking about joining or you want to find out some of the new services that in the directory, I see Tangerine WebWorks out of Arlington, Virginia. They provide web services. Welcome to the Tangerine WebWorks. Thank you for joining the directory. I also see Josini Fashion and Runway, and they claim that they make you look like a celebrity at an affordable price. Those are just some of the services that we have that have joined the directory lately. And so go over to the homepage, take a look, and look at the members, see all the fun that they're having. You'll see some of the members. They've been over to Radio One. Most recently, we had HBCU Leggings, and that's a company you really need to check out. If you're going to the Howard University homecoming this next month, for instance, go in there in style. Go in there and pick out one of those great designs for leggings. They have this bison jacket, and they've been a great member. They've been on the show, and you'll see them on the homepage of the directory. Also, you will see 222 Productions. You'll see attorney Margot Thomas. You'll see advocate Small Biz Liz. And these are the folks that have joined the directory, and I've invited them over to Radio One, and they've you see all the fun they're having by going to the homepage of mpi.bz. Get your name in the directory. It's free, and let me give you a shout out, because the minute you join, I'm going to upgrade you so you can get that free shout out. Also, something else that I did this week. I've actually had to renew my SAM certification. SAM is a government agency. It's called Systems Award Management. And if you plan to do any type of work with the federal government, you need to go through SAM. And so that's one reason you want to do it. If you're thinking about doing any type of government contracting, and you want to go ahead and get that started, because it can be quite voluminous, the type of information you have to put in there. So that's one reason to go through SAM. Go in there. It's going to take you a minute. You may want to do it in stages. But another reason I do it, because I am into building my brand. Because getting it through SAMs can be quite exhaustive. But when you're done, you've really gotten a stamp of approval from the federal government. And you're talking about something that gives you puts a feather in your cap, lets people know you're legit. Go through the SAM process. Whether you plan to do government contracting or not, it just gives you that stamp of certification and validation. Sometimes it's very important when you're trying to build a brand, particularly when you're in a very competitive industry or where there's a lot of, funny stuff going on. So I've done that this week, and they made some changes since the last time. Every year they add a couple more rules. Right now in the new SAM certification process, they want to verify your certificate of good standing. Like in the state of Maryland, you get a certificate of good standing. Go to maryland.gov, and you can look up any company and see if they have their certificate of good standing. If your certificate of good standing is not good, one, you can't get in SAMs, and it's going to make you look bad. But SAM now requires you to send them some type of verification that your company is in good standing. You can take a screenshot, just make sure that the date is visible on the screenshot, and send that along with your application. So also, you can't use a virtual address. You can't use a P.O. box or one of these mailbox services. You have to have a physical address. Now, you can be part of a shared space like my client, BLE, but even with that, you have to send them a copy of your lease and an invoice for that year to prove that you are actually still valid. And that's another service that we have been proud to offer through our sponsor, BLE Executive Suites, to help those people who are trying to get into government contracting. They actually have one of their locations over in College Park that specializes in government contracting. It's also a hub zone. So folks, the resources are out here. That's why I'm here. Okay? Tune into this show. Don't be selfish. Share it with somebody else who's trying to get a leg up in business. So so that's what we're doing here this morning. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in for the first time. Welcome. And to all of my regular listeners, like Brother Brown, one of the greatest plumbers in town, welcome. And just put your name in the feed, and we'll give you a hot shout out. I see people are tuning in from Facebook. I see people are tuning in from YouTube, and they're all over the world. I see the numbers, but I won't know who you are until you put a comment into the feed. You and let people know you're in business. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help. It's like the old saying. Don't complain about business or lack thereof. What's that saying? Why curse the darkness? Light a candle. And that's what we're doing here on the Marketing Pulpit Show. We are lighting candles for business owners. Let's talk about a few items in the news before we get into our topic of the day in the second half of the show. Now, here's something that it's not so much as a news item, but it's something that's being talked about a lot. This work from home and doing this remote work, hybrid, of course, as a result of the recent pandemic, which is still starting to have a resurgence. But don't make any major life decisions based on the assumption that your company will allow you to work from home forever. These companies are just as fickle as they can be. 1 minute they say, well, everybody can work from home, relax, same work, just different location. But then their competitors or other companies in their industry decide, well, we're going to make everybody come back to work, like Google and Tesla and all these other companies. All of a sudden, your company is starting to give you the side eye, like, all right, Gatewood, we didn't tell you to move down to Florida. Because think about it. If you're working from home, you could be living in Timbuktu because all you need is a computer and an internet access. But if that company decides that they're going to start requiring their workers to come back to work, and you packed up like the Beverly Hillbillies going to Beverly, and now you're in a tough spot. So make sure before you make those major decisions, like sometimes people decide, well, I'm going to marry now because I can move over here where my spouse is living. You better check with that company. You better go ask some questions. And in some cases, you might want to get it in writing because it can be a disruptor if that information is not right. The screenwriters are back to work. And what they've done, so technology is always in the news. It's more in the news now than ever. But what they've asked is that there's AI. They have a clause in the contract about how AI is going to affect their business. Things like if you're going to use AI, you got to find the writer that did the writing and acknowledge them and reward them. So this AI thing is going to be discussed for many. It's going to be in the news quite a bit now. Amazon has been sued by the Federal Trade Commission in 17 states for monopolistic practices. And I tell you, boy, I use Amazon probably twice this week. I wonder how anybody else can make money online now. Because Amazon, if you get that Prime, you can order like 5 things in one day and not even pay a delivery fee. It is so easy. But what that is doing is hurting competition. So the FTC in 17 states are trying to rein them in. Another technology thing that's going on is this facial recognition. I rang the bell about this about 2 or 3 years ago. Like I must have this crystal ball right because I keep calling these things before they happen. Well, this black guy out of Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, is suing this sheriff's office because they accuse him of a crime in a state where he didn't even live because the facial recognition said, we got you on camera. I guess they're saying we all look alike. I tell you what, folks, let's do this. Let's take a break. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, is your business shark ready? This is the Marketing Pulpit. We'll be back in a moment.
I'm Amina, the founder and CEO of HBCU Leggings. My small business story started with my passion for my alma mater, Howard University, one of the most renowned historically Black colleges and universities.
We are back. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. Go to marketingpulpit.com and you can share the show, watch it right on the homepage, even though we're broadcasting on Radio 1 95.9 FM out of Silver Spring every Friday. We're actually in our Largo studio today, but we're broadcasting through Radio 1, and you can also catch the information on YouTube, on Facebook. You can get it on LinkedIn. You can also get it on Twitter, which is now called X. Let's talk about, and also welcome if you're tuning in for the first time, and also go to the directory and get your name in the directory. I'll be teaching at the Employ Prince George's over on this coming Tuesday. I'm going to talk about networking and how powerful networking is. If you're not networking right now, you are missing out because you need those relationships to succeed in business. Full stop. This is not debatable. Okay, we're not going to talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. Get out here and make those relationships because you need more than just customer acquisition to succeed in business. You need all of the stakeholders, contractors, employees, suppliers, vendors, partners, funders, government agencies, community, nonprofits. And the best way to do that is to get out there and rub shoulders as a networker. And we're going to be talking about that at the Employ Prince George's coming up on Tuesday. So you can go to marketingpulpit.com and find out more and how to register. And may not be up yet, but it'll be up before probably the weekend is over. And just check out the different courses. Also go to marketingpulpit.com. On the main website, I have all the courses I'm going to teach over in the right panel. And I have them lined all the way up to December. So thank you again. And let's talk about scaling your business. If you watch Shark Tank, you've seen Mr. Wonderful and with the guy from Fubu, Damon, and the lady Lori, and the lady that does the real estate, and the guy, the Mark Cuban guy. These guys have a pocket full of money, and they're ready to spend that money on the right business. But that business has to be scalable. Now, most of us, when we start a business, we're not thinking about scalability. A lot of times we left our jobs, we're trying to make some money to pay that rent, get the baby some milk, put some rims on the car, whatever it is. We're not thinking about scalability. But maybe some of you should. And some of you, you're thinking scalability, but you don't have a scalable company. Okay. Now, maybe you have a business, what some people call a lifestyle company. And that's really most companies, probably under the sound of my voice. That means you can make a lot of money. You can hire people. You can set up multiple locations. But the business does not meet the scalability model. In the old days, scalability means you sold a high ticket item, cars and refrigerators and TVs and things like that, things that everybody needed, and you could probably scale that. That was in the old days. Or you sold a company, you sold a product that sell a lot of them at a very low price, but you reached the mass audience. That was scalability. But nowadays, scalability has changed with the advent of the internet. You've seen some of the companies that have scaled. They just were there 1 minute, then they just blew up overnight. You see these things like Uber and Airbnb, and Google, Yahoo, and all these guys really followed a very similar model. They had a scalability model. They had to go out and get some VC money, venture capitalist money, and many of them took it to an IPO. And so, but think about your business. And this is important, ladies and gentlemen, because I get these questions on the day-to-day basis. They say, look, I'm going to take my company over to Shark Tank. Well, let's talk about this for a minute. First of all, do you want to do that? Because when you become a scalable company and you start getting venture capitalists involved, you're probably going to lose full control of your company. You may have some control, but when they start putting their money in, believe me, they want to pull the levers. Okay, so if you want to control every aspect of your business from top to bottom, then you may not want to go to scalability or venture capital money. Now, you can scale in different ways, but we talk about that explosive type of scaling. And that's like I said, that's most companies, and you can do very well. We call that a lifestyle business. Some people call it a mom and pop operation, but it's far from being a mom and pop. It just means that you're probably not going to scale. Now, if you have a business that's very high tech, low overhead, you start to fall into that scalable model. In the new way of people that are scaling their businesses, what they're doing right now, they're selling downloadable services, high-tech items, but the biggest way right now businesses are scaling, they may be giving away their services and then make their money on advertising revenue. There's an old saying, if the product is free, or if the service is free, the product is you. That's because you have really walked into somebody's scalable model. If you're getting a free Gmail account, a free Yahoo account, a free this, a free that, they're probably in a scalable model, because that is one of the hot ticket items right now on scalability. Google, you get into that ecosystem, it's almost impossible to get out. They thought this thing through up one side and down the other. So just because you have a good product, you could be a great chef, you could cut grass like nobody else, you can build websites, but is your model scalable? And the other question is, do you want it to be? So these are some questions you got to have with yourself, with your stakeholders, the people that are depending on you. In some cases, you may even put it out to your clients. Do you want this business to scale, and what way are you going to do it? Besides the advertising model, another way is that you take an existing service and give it a twist that makes it more accessible through different advertising and marketing channels. That would be like the Uber model or the Airbnb. Those are scalable businesses. If you're doing something like handyman services, if you're doing something like a restaurant, it's going to be very hard to get those companies to scale, but you can still make a ton of money. So don't take the scalable route if you plan to remain a lifestyle type business, because there are different types of metrics that are important when it comes to funding, when it comes to cost per acquisition, when it comes to the lifetime value. And these are some of the questions, if you ever watch Shark Tank, these guys are like a script. They're like a robot. They ask the same questions as everybody. Hey, how much does it cost to make this product? How much money you make last year? What's your advertising cost? What's your lifetime value? They're asking for a reason, because certain answers speak to scalability. Okay, so let's put a bow on this. Now, if you are doing a high-tech item, if you're doing a business that you might scale, you need to be concerned about funding. You need to find a Chuck. Maybe not Damon, or is that the name of the guy? Chuck Tank, Fubu guy. Damon. It might not be Mark Cuban or Lori. But if you have a business that you plan to scale, you need some funding. Let me tell you why. Because business ideas have a shelf life. Yeah, I said it. You cannot sit on that idea forever. It's either going to become obsolescent, it's going to face obsolescence, become obsolete, or somebody's sitting back and watching. And they just got their money, their pocket is on fire, just waiting on you to slip so they can jump in there and take that idea and run with it. That's another reason, if you have a good idea that's scalable, you have to scale, and you have to scale at the right time. You cannot sit on it. You can't be bootstrapping and robbing Peter to pay Paul and taking money off your part-time Uber job and say, I'm gonna make this work over time. No, you won't. If you don't take that idea and scale it in the next 6 months or so, it may not be, that option may not be available to you. Somebody's just gonna come along and take that. So let's wrap this up. First question, do you want to scale in the first place? Well, let's step before that. Do you have a scalable business? And certain businesses are just going to be difficult to scale. So don't be expecting somebody to come along with a deep pocket and invest in it. It's just not going to happen. Venture capitalists are very narrow focused. They put their money on businesses that they can get their money back in a short period of time. They don't have 20 years that it takes to build a lifestyle type business or a mom and pop operation. So that's the first thing. Do you have a scalable business? The second thing is, do you want to scale in the first place? If you do, you need to start making certain decisions. And I can't give you all of them today because we're going to talk about a short show today. and also once you decide to scale, how to go about it. So that's going to wrap it up for today. So ask yourself these questions. If you need help, call me, go to my website. I have a button on gatewoodmarketing.com. We'll give anybody 15 minutes free of consultation. And boy, the phone have been hot lately. Also, thank you, Ideal Gear, for your comments. Gerald Brown, thank you for your comments. And everybody else who's been tuning in today. And we'll be back next week. And go ahead and get that free consultation. Also, get in the business directory. Don't mess around with that. Here's something that you don't have to, that won't really cost you a penny right off the bat. We do have some plans that get you on the air in our interviews and websites, on our social media platforms. We are here to help you grow this business, and we're glad to do it because it's part of my mission. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for today. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We'll be back next week. We're going to be have an exciting guest next week to be announced. And if you want to be successful, you have to remember these three things also. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. And while you're thinking about it, don't think on it too long. Let's get out here and get to work. This is the Marketing Pulpit. Go to marketingpulpit.com and get your name on our roster so we can actually start pumping people over to your service. And thank you again for tuning in today. We'll see you next week. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. We're out of here. Let's get to work.
Let me explain why we are not your typical directory. First and foremost, we don't wait for visitors to come to our directory. Instead, we proactively take our members directly to the shoppers with our aggressive advertising campaigns. For instance, we broadcast our own radio show on Radio 1WOL 95.9 FM, on which we constantly promote the directory and its members. In addition to that, we advertise our directory on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We also feature our members on individual social media posts. And we invite our members into our studio to tell their exciting story to thousands of potential buyers. So if you're looking for an affordable and effective way to build your brand, find new customers, and grow your organization, do what hundreds of others have done. Join the Marketing Pulpit directory at mpi.bz and get featured on the internet and on the air. Thank you for joining, and happy selling.
I'm Amina, the founder and CEO of HBCU Leggings. My small business story started with my passion for my alma mater, Howard University, one of the most renowned historically Black colleges and universities. In 2020, I was given the opportunity to organize a t-shirt fundraiser for Howard alumni, and in just 2 weeks, we successfully raised and donated $17,000 to Howard University. That experience inspired me to extend my support to all HBCUs. Obtaining a license to create collegiate apparel was the first significant obstacle I had to surmount. And now, HBCU Leggings has licenses with 8 HBCUs, with several more on the horizon. Apart from creating exquisite apparel, HBCU Leggings is also committed to raising awareness about the extraordinary contributions of HBCUs. The business disseminates information through blog posts, social media content, and e-newsletters. My ultimate commitment is to give back to these outstanding institutions. A portion of all sales generated by HBCU Leggings is directed towards supporting each represented school, with the objective of giving back 15% of our revenue through royalties and donation. My motivation comes from my deep love for HBCUs and my aspiration to want to make a positive impact in this world.
If you have a jacked up idea that's never going to get off the ground, Robert Gatewood is going to tell you. All right, don't get mad at me now. I'm telling you, I'm saving you some heartache down the road. Let me tell you something else I'm saving. I'm saving the folks that you might do damage to if you get out here, start a business, and not taking it seriously, and people are transferring their accounts over to you. They're giving you their personal information, their financial information. They're trusting you because you told them you were in business and they took you at your word. Don't betray that trust. So if you're going to go into business, let's go into it the right way. If you're not sure, right here, Marketing Pulpit Show. Hey, my dad was a business owner though. I got this start when my dad was I was probably about 8 years old. He was a sharecropper. And he finally got a small business loan under the Johnson administration. And he gave me some sound advice. He said, son, never criticize a man or woman until you walk a mile in their shoes. Pretty good advice, right? So of course, in my young voice, I said, Dad, why should I not criticize a man until I walk a mile in his shoes? He said, one, if they don't take criticism very well, you got a mile head start, and you have his shoes.